Hello, it's Dave from the Behaviour Ninja channel. I work at Consulo Education as an education consultant, and I'm the creator of the Behaviour Ninja app, which is available on Apple and Google Play for download. Usually the banners are behind me, so you can see the Behaviour Ninja app in the background. I've chosen not to put those up today because I'm enjoying a little bit of winter sunshine. I've been out for a run this morning. I've got classic music playing in the background. I've got my cuppa and I'm just, relaxing, having a little bit of downtime. And while I was doing that, I thought, it'd be something to think about and perhaps share with you guys through a video the importance of having the time to look after your mental health and well-being. And, even at this time during lockdown, January 2021, we're in lockdown in the UK. You still get time to get out and have a little bit of exercise, an hour or so, and that's because people recognise the importance of looking after our mental health. I know teachers who are working from home and delivering lessons online, which carries its own fairly unique set of stresses. I know some teachers who are working in school right now with the children of key workers, for example, and that again brings some challenging circumstances and stresses and so on. And of course, as we all know, teaching as a profession is challenging and stressful at times. So I just thought, we'd maybe talk a little bit about that, because we need during lockdown to take care of ourselves from a mental health point of view, and we also need to think about that return to the classroom, which will bring stresses and anxieties. And that's why perhaps this is a good time to be looking through the videos on the channel and upping your skills so that you can return to the school and be something of a steadying influence in the school. So the children will be returned too, of course, and lots of them will have had a period of time similar to the very first lockdown. You guys will know this is the case. A lot of the children will be returning with perhaps a long experience of lack of structure. Not all, but some will, of course. Some will have had reduced boundaries during the time that they've been locked down. And certainly some students will be coming back with anxieties about return to the classroom. Maybe they have health concerns of their own, or they have members of their family that they're concerned about too. So children will be returning in that state, and you will definitely be seeing some anxiety driven behaviour at some point. So it's really important that you're able to present yourself as a steadying influence. And we know that that relaxed and calm behaviour is how we show that we are a high status individual and how we look high status in the eyes of the kids, and that's really important. And I talked about that in a previous video, and I'll put a link. I'll put a link below when I talked about the Instruct and Walkaway technique. So where you give children a positive instruction and then you turn your back and move away because you are anticipating that they're going to follow your instruction. You maybe engage with another learner or whatever it is, and that's one of those techniques that comes from the anticipate compliance strategy. So I just wanted to explore that anticipating compliance idea and just kind of see how we can use it in different ways to ensure that we present in classroom and other areas of the school as a high status individual, and we increase the likelihood of children taking notice of that and paying regard to it, and therefore making better behaviour choices than they perhaps might have done if we hadn't been there, or with the teacher who'd been there, perhaps been, in their eyes, in the students' eyes, a lower status person. So I just thought we'd maybe explore that a little bit. So as I said, the Instruct and Walkaway technique is a method within that anticipate compliance sort of family of strategies and approaches. So the anticipate compliance idea is it's kind of drawn from a technique that salespeople use, which is the assumed close. So when a salesperson says, "How many can I put you down for?" and you think, well, who said I wanted the item? Well, when they're saying that, it's almost like it's a done deal. You're definitely going to buy it because I've done my job to sell it to you. So how many can I put you down for? Well, that assumed close technique is very similar to the anticipating compliance that we do as teachers, and that is a high status behaviour. So how might that look? If we explore some examples just to kind of embed that idea of anticipating compliance. Let's say that you're talking with a member of staff in the corridor, and student is running in the corridor and that's not allowed, then I might turn to that student and say, Carl, I expect you to walk respectfully in the corridor, thank you. And then I turn away and I carry on my conversation. Maybe my colleague is looking over my shoulder to make sure that Carl's, doing what I expect, and 99 times out of 100 he will. So what does that say? Well, I gave him a positive instruction. I told him what I wanted him to do rather than saying stop running in the corridor. And all of our instructions of that type should be, where they can, should be given in a positive way. So we tell them what we want them to do rather than what we don't want them to do. We don't tell them to stop something, we tell them to do something different. This is a far better way to give instructions. In my opinion, we usually get more of the behaviours that we focus on. So if I'm focusing on good behaviour, i.e. I'm saying walk respectfully in the corridor, I'm reinforcing what the expectation is in the school, the wider school, but also because I focus on good behaviour, I'm more likely to get it. Okay, so I said thanks. I didn't say please. I said thanks, and you guys, that's a basic behaviour management strategy, isn't it? Always say thanks rather than please, because when you say thanks, it's a done deal. That's a very simple method of anticipating compliance that probably every teacher from the beginning of their career knows. Some people will say, I like to say please because, please and thank you, it's good manners and I'm supposed to be modelling good manners, and that's absolutely fine, I get it. All I would say is, while you're in the process of establishing yourself as a high status individual, just leave please in the cupboard for now, okay, and just use thank you. You can always use please later on. Let's say I use a technique, meet and greet. I meet and greet the kids at the door of my classroom, and that's a great technique for your status, really. It's a good one for new staff to get in the habit of using. But typically, teachers will stand right at the door as children queue. Now, that looks like, you're there, and potentially if anyone tried to walk in the class without it, them having your permission, you could physically stop them if you needed to. It's certainly how it looks. Whether or not you would do that or not doesn't really matter. That's how it looks. If you need to stand at the door, then that could also suggest to people that you believe you need to stand at the door. If you stand across the corridor from the door and leave the doorway completely open, then that's a more high status behaviour, because you are anticipating that nobody's going to go in there until you've given them permission to do so. You might even work your way a little bit down the corridor, so you stand and say roughly in the middle of where the kids will queue up. And you can see both ends of the line then, but you're standing there, nobody's going to go into your classroom until you've given them permission. That's a high status behaviour, and it's anticipating that things will go as they should go. So in the eyes of the kids, you're behaving in a very relaxed and calm manner, and that's what we want them to see, and it's what we want them to believe. Teaching with the door open. So I often work in schools where there's a lot of challenging behaviour. Sometimes you get kids who storm out. You might get kids who ask to go to the toilet, and if they're told no, they get up and walk out anyway. And teachers will often shut their door and say, well, I'm shutting the door to stop that from happening, as if, that door hasn't got a handle that they could open if they needed to anyway. And it's a technique that suggests that you anticipate wrongdoing, you anticipate problems. Leave your door wide open. The reason why kids don't walk out of there is because they're not allowed, and that's a much more high status behaviour, and it's much more suggesting that you are anticipating that things will go as they need to go. Nobody walks into your room without permission. Nobody leaves your room without permission. Maybe when you are early in the term, when you are establishing your non-negotiables with the group, and that's a great technique to use too, and I'll do a video on it at some point. When you are establishing your expectations, including the non-negotiables, one of your non-negotiables might be, under no circumstances do you leave this room without my permission, either pre-arranged or asked for at that time. You might have pre-arranged permission for certain kids with complex needs, as an example. If that's one of your non-negotiables, then you feel free to have the door open. And again, it is a high status behaviour, and it's the behaviour of a confident teacher to teach with the door open also. I should say, of course, if your school has particular policies that don't kind of sit comfortably with what I'm suggesting, then stick with your school policies. Don't ever sabotage a school policy by not following it and letting kids see that you're not following it. If you don't like a school policy, then the best thing to do is speak to leaders about it and let them know that you don't like it. But all the kids must see that you are singing from the same hymn sheet. You do exactly what's expected according to policy. Okay, that's really important. Um, Maybe if I was working with primary kids, then I might be a little bit more specific about that anticipating compliance. I might verbalise it. So it might be that I'm going to say to a group, this group at this table, you're working so well together, you're listening to each other, you're respectful of each other, you're patient, you're working quietly. I don't need to be here. I'm going to go over and work with this other group just now, and I'm just going to leave you guys to it because I know you're going to do everything that I need. Thank you. And then I move away. That's a great example of anticipating compliance, isn't it? It's a great example of saying, you've got this nailed. I'm completely confident that you're going to carry on doing it. I'm relaxed enough to go and work with another group. So again, that's something to think about. Let's say you've got kids who are bringing or haven't done the homework, haven't completed the homework. Now, again, you might have a school policy that says if you don't do your homework the first day that you come in without your homework, you get a detention. I don't know. Anyway, we'll work within those things. But it might be that I'll say to a student who hasn't brought their homework in, just complete it for tomorrow. We don't need to think about consequences. I know you're going to do that. Just crack on and make sure it's with me tomorrow, thanks. And just leave it at that. And again, that's high status behaviour. You're anticipating compliance. You're saying, you know what, I know this is a done deal. Okay, so there you go, anticipating compliance as just a broad range of ways that you can use it within the school from day to day, in and out of your classroom, with youngsters of primary age, with secondary. Some people will say that's never going to work with, say, special needs kids. I've used it for many, many years with children with social, emotional, mental health issues, massive behaviour difficulties, oppositional defiance, attachment issues, autism. It works, okay? So just, maybe give it a try, leap of faith. I always say 30 working days, give it a try, see what happens. So yeah, anticipating compliance. Hope that's useful. Thanks very much. Plenty of videos actually to follow. I'm going to do a little bit of a video shortly about how we have to be aware of how habits can form for teachers and for children. So that'll be something that'll be coming up soon. Otherwise, thanks very much for your time. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you again soon. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you're interested in the behaviour management app, that was Behaviour Ninja, then please follow the link below. Okay, take care now. Bye bye.